we've tried to do here every year is play our best basketball in March. If you look and say, wow, by the end of the year, that's when they're playing their best. Well, if you're playing like this in November, how in the world are you gonna get better? And if it is, it's gonna be just a little bit. But the anxiety, bringing the team together, having a spirit about them, having an ability to say, I get it, I know where you're trying to take this now, it was all really good.
Stay here on the right side of the room.
Cal, the non-conference is loaded, also the SEC schedule, it's gonna be tough. Is this the, from top to bottom, the toughest you've seen the SEC since you've been here?
Oh, yeah. Somebody went up to watch Vanderbilt, and one of the pro scouts hit back and just said, they're good. They're good. They're better than we thought they would be. They're good. So you start talking Vanderbilt, we play them twice. You know Florida twice. You know Tennessee twice. You know whoever the best teams are, we're playing twice. Let me just put it that way. And so I'm happy for the league. Makes it tougher for us. Every game we play, every road game we play will be hard to win. Doesn't matter how good you are. It's going to be a ridiculously hard game. So last year, how many teams did we get in last year?
18.
And if you remember me talking about that for the 5 years, and now it becomes keep getting teams in and keep advancing those teams.
Go to Tim and Amy.
John, Roy Williams caught a fair amount of flack for saying he was dumbfounded by the allegations and the testimony in the trial in New York. Can a coach at your level, with your experience, be surprised by anything that's coming out of that?
Tim, I've been going like crazy. As you guys know, I got in last night about 3:30 in the morning, so I haven't followed all the stuff. It is a black eye. It's not good for basketball. I hope the decisions we're making out of this are all based on what's best for the kids, not to change just for change's sake. But I do think it brought the outliers in, that this has brought light to, like, this can't be done. You know, other than that, I'm really, literally not, I don't know what's been said, or I'm like in, and I just got in a little while ago, you won't believe this. I didn't come in at 8 o'clock this morning since I got in around 3:34. This thing that we're all doing, hopefully it brings about bringing this stuff together. Let's just not make decisions that aren't good for these kids and our evaluation of them or whatever else that may be.
Ken.
Cal, you said the Bahamas trip got you guys maybe farther ahead than what you want to be at this particular time. Can you slow growth of the team down? And do you have markers throughout the course of the year of where you want to see them at?
Well, we haven't started scrimmaging yet, and I thought this would be a scrimmage team, but I didn't want to start down that road yet. So we haven't done anything with zone, offense or defense, very little. And we're going to have to, because I think the first 4 or 5 games, you're going to have teams playing us a majority zone. And the other side of this is the pressing. This should be a pressing team, and we haven't really done that yet. So I've zeroed in on 4 or 5 things where I'm trying to create habits of individual players and then habits of our pace of game. So that's what I've zeroed in on. In other words, we're flying, but you don't play real fast. You're still in control. You're having poise. And what does that mean, and what does it look like? So that's what we're trying to do right now, and not get ahead to where we're a full-blown, I think we did a walkthrough before the first combine, and I said, let's take it out on the baseline. What did we do in the Bahamas? I don't even remember. They did. What did we do on the sideline? They went and got it. I didn't. It's the first time we even talked about sideline baseline. Haven't talked about press attack. So I'm not slowing down like not working, but I'm slowing down what I'm giving them to master right now. And let's master this individually. And it's good because we have still young kids that we're going to be relying on.
So Jerry, John, Daryl, you guys just pass the mic up when you're done, please.
John, opening with Duke is an unusual opening game. How does that impact preparation and the whole thing?
You would know I'm not, we agreed to do it, but it's just a hard game, and it's a hard game for Duke too. They've got young guys. It's just a hard game out of the gate, playing a program that has really good players and is really well coached and is not intimidated by the scenery. And that's what we play right out of the gate. But it also wakes you up early in the morning. You gotta, you know, you just know that let's not get too far ahead, and at this point, I can't tell you exactly what we'll have in. We won't have everything in, it's gonna be November, whatever, but we're gonna have enough to try to say, this is how we'll play this game. And hopefully, we have enough in that we can compete with that team playing with what we have in.
John, there are reports out there that you're really, really enamored with this particular team. First of all, can you confirm those reports? And secondly, if so, what do you attribute the energy and enthusiasm on your part to?
People the guys that did the combine, the NBA crew that came in, all those coaches, they looked and said, it looks as though Cal's really enjoying coaching this group. Well, when you don't have to coach effort, when you don't have to coach the enthusiasm, the passion you have to play with, when you don't have to coach a competitive spirit, fight, go, come on, dive on that. I don't have to coach that with this team. So now you know what you're coaching? Basketball. So now you coach basketball, and I love coaching basketball. That other stuff is like having to take the guy to the dentist, open your mouth, take the needle. I mean, it's painful for them and it's painful for me. This is gonna hurt me much more than it hurts you. But the reality of it is, when you're coaching basketball and they're trying to do what you're asking them to do, and they're literally, these dudes are like, we're having to kind of get in between, like stop, you know, but after it's over, they're great. But that's what you look, fight like heck on this court, make each other better, compete. You try to beat him every day, he's trying to beat you every day. If he's beating you, you better get in the gym more, because eventually he's gonna leave you in the dust. Yet when it's over, we're all together, we're family. And that's how they've been doing it. So yeah, I am excited that way. We need a couple guys, and I don't know who they're gonna be, to be those separators, to be those catalysts. Who is gonna be that guy? No one knew it would be Shea last year. No one knew, I didn't know. And so it develops, and we all know why it was Shea. He was here at 7 in the morning shooting, he watched video of himself and other people. He was in the weight room, he was unbelievable. He never missed a class, never missed a tutor, did everything he was supposed to, was wired to say, I just gotta get better. And he makes himself a lottery pick, and it looks like he started for the Clippers. What? They were like, who is this kid? He's long, he's like, yeah, he's pretty good. Where is he from? Who was he? And now all of a sudden he does that. Well, guess what? Now we got 6 or 7 guys in the gym. I did say when we got off the plane to Kenya, I doubt if anybody's in there at this time, because it was really late. But at 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock, if you drive by, those lights will be on out there. Those guys are in there. I don't know, sometimes it's fear, I'm not good enough, or sometimes it's a chip on my shoulder. I'm gonna prove that I'm better than everybody thinks. Sometimes it's just a competitive spirit that it's a habit you have. You wanna see how good you can get. And you know, we try to recruit it. You know, this thing, you know, John Wall and Eric Bledsoe coming together was the start of that. Even DeMarcus coming when we had big guys here my first year. It proved that, look, I don't care who's here, we can play together, we can do this. Plus we'll get better because we're playing against each other. Then you had Brandon Knight, who would be in the gym at 11 o'clock at night in January. What are you in here for? I had the guy holding the rope, and he's running with the rope around his waist. The guy's holding him, and he's sweating. What are you doing? He said, I just wanted to get a workout in. Why didn't you do it early? I had chemistry, and I wanted to make sure I was studying for the test tomorrow. You're leaving in 3 months. But he brought that here, plus he was a straight A student. And then the kids, I don't know, it was great, somebody showed me that there was an article out about the kids talking about how we approach them. That it's not, you're gonna start, you're gonna be the face, you're gonna be the best player, every shot's going through, we're gonna showcase you. You're gonna be this, you're gonna be the one they look back to 30 years from now and say, you built this, we don't do any of that. I've said it publicly, I've said it, and now all of a sudden they did it, and they each individual guy separately, and they kind of came back with what we do. Now you may ask, why would you give out trade secrets? Would you ask that? Why would you tell them what you're doing? Who else would be stupid enough to recruit that way? To tell them it's gonna be really hard. We're gonna have really good players that can't give you anything, you're gonna have to earn it. I don't know. I mean, are you good enough? If you're not good enough, you shouldn't do that. If anybody else wants to go down that route with us, I'd say have at it, let's go. But that culture has been built here. And it was fun to see every guy, because I can remember the home visits. Even, they talked about Reed. My comment to Reed, you averaged 20 points last year. How are you gonna be if you're averaging 13 or 14 or 12? You averaged 10 rebounds last year. Can you average 12? Here's where you gotta work. If you come here, here's what we're gonna do to try to help you. Can I just say this? That's why we don't get everybody we recruit. It's exactly why we don't get everybody we recruit. Some kids wanna know it's guaranteed that they've got this spot. We just don't do it. And I would hope to think that's why we have the guys that we have that came here. They want this challenge.
So Daryl and Larry.
Yeah, at the end of the Bahamas trip, you said you hadn't had a chance to do any individual work with Reed. I was wondering how that's going, how much he's changed his game this week.
Well, first of all, I gotta tell you, you know, he was a little bit heavy. I don't wanna say heavy, he's big boned. He was 262 pounds. And I said, you gotta lose 20 pounds. We gotta get you quick. You remember down in the Bahamas where he caught it and would gather, and then he couldn't get it to the rim and, you know, try to play the bully game? Well, if you watch him now, he's getting away from that. He did jumping drills, and he was jumping above the square. You know that thing over the rim, that square? He was above the square, standing flat-footed. And everybody's like, what? Who is this? Well, I asked him, what's your weight? He said, 245. I said, you know, maybe we try 5 more. Okay, about 5 more. And he kind of looked at me and I said, what's your body fat? He said 5.4. Geez, you have to take out a kidney, I guess. So, he is one that listens to everything I say, is focused in on what I'm doing, and then tries to take it on the court. He's not tried to take over this team. That's not what he's doing. He's trying to get his stuff right, and I think what he'll end up doing is, as he becomes what he's trying to do and the vision that we have of him, that, you know, and I'm not trying to make him a 2-guard. He is who he is. There were 4 or 5 things that I thought, for you to be what you're trying to do, this is what they've got to see when they watch you.
Go for Larry.
And I hate to follow a body fat question, but I'll try, so.
Mine is very high right now. I've been trying to manage it. This late night traveling and eating is a problem.
Understood.
Can you guys just take me from like here up? Not that bad, but just go from here up.
Two quick things, Rick. One.
I'm very flawed and I'm a sinner. Have I said that before?
I don't know.
Okay, so in case you didn't know.
Two quick things. One, how much have you enjoyed football season to this point?
Oh, it's been great.
And then-
Can I say this? I called Mark after the Texas A&M game. And if you're a coach, when you lose, don't call me and tell me it was good. I don't want to hear that. Like, and if I see somebody on my phone and I know that's what they're going to try to do, I hit the eat poop button. Like, no. Okay? So I text to Mark what I saw, that the first touchdown they scored was, okay, your defense, I thought, balled. but they were in the field too long. It wasn't your best game, and you still went to overtime with a chance to win. Incredible. Best thing, the culture, everybody was mad and angry. Do you remember where 2 years ago we'd be sad, be disappointed? It wasn't no sad now. Everybody, their staff was mad, their players were mad, our fans were mad. The culture has just changed in football. The best thing that came out of it was Benny. In basketball, we call it touches. He didn't get a whole lot of touches. And he is like a Heisman candidate. Now, the game ends, they lose. The last play was, okay. And Benny, I can't imagine what he did in the locker room. But I know this, in front of the media, he said everything the right way because he was thinking about his team. That is big. Big when you're a Heisman candidate and you don't get the touches and the team loses. Because the kid wants to win. And he knew if I had the ball, give me the ball twice. In that situation, I don't care. Let the lineman fall down. But he never said a word. And I told Mark that. I said, you guys are in a great place, man. What you've done. And I said, keep reminding everybody it's taken you 6 years. This isn't, that wasn't a 2-year turnover. It's been 6 years.
Now, what should we make of some of the numbers that Jamal had at the combine? Kind of jumped out, kind of where he led the team in a couple different things.
Who was
Jamal.
Jamal Baker you're talking about?
Yes, uh-huh.
The year off has affected him some. Some of it confidence, some of it the competitive spirit. The year off has hurt him, but he's making strides and he's getting better. He's getting better, so.
Come all the way back to the right side of the room. Next question we're gonna hear from the lady.
What do you do when you're given sass by players?
When I'm giving what?
Sass.
Sass? What is sass?
Like attitude.
Oh, very good question. What's your name?
Elijah.
Okay, Lacey, let me say what we do now, because I have a team that talks. I want a team to talk. Like, the biggest issue we have, they don't talk enough. The problem is when they talk at the other team, that's a problem, that's an attitude. So, we have a couple guys that start competing and then they start jawing at each other. They start sassing, as you would say. So now we have attitude points. So if they're competing and the score is 12-9, and Kelvin scores and then starts to chest bump and says, book, attitude point, the other team. Now it's 13-10, and we keep playing. So we have attitude points this year. My job is every year to try, what is this team, what do they need from me? So to get them, I want them to talk to each other. I just don't want them to talk to the opponent, leave them alone. Very good question. I gave up trade secrets, so.
Go back to Michael, back to the right.
This is University of Kentucky Basketball Media Day, and you're talking about football, is that right?
Can you imagine that? I have to, funny story, you know I get coffee with, I got my little group of guys, we get coffee. You can't believe the problems of the world we solve, okay? So I said, who do we play on November 9th? And I'm thinking I want my schedule, basketball. He gives me the football game. What the hell are you giving me football schedule for? Like, we're football, you know, like, you just think 3 years ago, it would have been easy. He would have given me who we play in basketball. But it's great. I'm happy for their staff and Mark, but I'm really happy for the guys that came back. I mean, Josh is one of the best linebackers in all of college football. The guy is ridiculous. I mean, I love the fact that those veterans have got to prop up maybe our quarterback a little bit, maybe some of the guys on the defensive side back. You got to prop them up and help them. But what he's done, what Mark has done, and what Benny and Josh and the guys have done to change the culture. And players ride the culture. It's not like you say this is what it is and then they do what they want. They've got to ride it, which means we're going to compete and fight like heck, but we're sticking together.
Do you think on this team you're gonna have multiple leaders, and how do you compare this year's team to last year's team?
Well, if this team becomes empowered and it becomes their team, then this becomes scary. But they gotta be empowered. To be empowered, they gotta have more than one leader. And those leaders, you have to understand, if you lead your servant leadership, you're gonna be about everybody else. We need someone who's gonna bring us all together and pick everybody up, hold people accountable. Are you willing to hold somebody accountable who's not doing right in this room? If you're not ready to be empowered. But we're trying to play in a way that more random in what we're doing, that it goes to them. And, you know, normally, last year's team, I'm not sure we ever became empowered. I mean, it was not, we became a better team by the end of the year, but I'm not sure they ever became empowered where they thought it was their team. They looked to me or the staff for too much. One of the reasons I didn't coach in the Bahamas was because I didn't want them thinking about me, think about each other. Let the coaches stand up. Plus, I wanted to see if maybe I could do that this year. I'm not sure. But I would be good in the seats looking down.
We'll go Gary, John, Jerry, guys, just pass the mic back for Jeff, please.
Where have you seen the impact of what the scouts told PJ, really pay off in this game?
Well, here's what they loved. They loved his body, they loved his motion, movement, they loved his competitive spirit, they loved that we made him guards in front of them where he could see it. Now they're saying he's got to get more consistent skill-wise. And there's one way to do that, and then that's getting the gym. The message I'm giving this team more than any, your consistency builds your confidence, not me. If you're not consistent, doesn't mean you make every shot, but you shoot them the same way. Well, how do you get to that point where every golf swing looks exactly the same? You just go on the golf course and start playing, you get on the golf tee, you get into the tee box, you go and you say, I'm at the driving range and I'm gonna hit 1,000 balls. Basketball's no different. How do you get to where you're consistent? As a ball handler, you can't, every once in a while, the ball gets away from you on the left hand. Well, you're not gonna be consistent. So, if you're not consistent, you're not gonna be confident. And I'm just, PJ, we're on it, here's what we want you to look like. Now, this is what you're working toward. You know, I'm loving, just so you know, EJ has been okay until the NBA scouts came. He played out of his mind, like shooting hooks, blocking, like, who is this guy? And they were all intrigued by him. And I, you know, obviously, oh, so when the scouts are here, you decided to play a little bit. But Nick is better, Reed is way better. Ashton and Reed are probably the most improved on the team since they've come to campus. Emmanuel, guys loved him. Quade, they see the body change, that he's better. And then Kelvin did not play the second day of the combine. And I announced to the coaches that I'm giving him today off, he wants to play. But we have Tuesday and Wednesday off, so I have 3 days, so I'm giving him off today. But it gives you a chance to evaluate Brad, so that's good.
Go ahead, John.
John, you've been a little hit or miss when it comes to trying to predict how good your team would be defensively. I remember a few years ago with the BAM team and the De'Aaron team, Malik, you told us they would be great.
Last night had 26, 12, 6, and he did it against Anthony Davis and Julius Randle, because I hit him last night as we landed. He hit me this morning, and I said, who'd you do it against? He said AD and Julius, just to make sure I knew. But anyway, what were you saying?
How good is this team going to be defensively, and I guess why should we believe you this year?
What did I say? What did I say? I don't remember what I said to you guys ever. So what was that? I said last year we...
A couple of years ago with the Malik and Bam and De'Aaron team, you said they would be great, and they were okay.
I've been in the Final Four with okay, but... Let me say this, if we're that good, I probably would be happy, but go ahead.
Yeah, John, you sort of touched on Nick Richards a few minutes ago, but let me segue off of that and ask you, with the improvement he's made, that everybody watched sees he's made some improvement, how does that impact your team?
It's big, it's big. He's still See, they're competing against each other. He was going against Reed, so he was getting like, just, you know, you're getting smacked, hit, elbow, knee. And then he started worrying about him so much, he wasn't blocking enough shots. Second thing is, we have done no post-up until the day Monday. And then I left Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm back here today, we're gonna do post-up. So we've not thrown the ball to the post much. Now we're starting to. So Nick looked really good. He had left jump hooks to right jump hooks. He's better because he's more confident in himself. And the first raindrop that hits him isn't gonna have him. Last year, the first thing that went wrong, second thing you knew, look at him, his eyes are down, he wasn't confident in himself. Now he is. And again, to hit on the defense, Ashton is a pit bull mauler on the ball. You can play he and Emmanuel together. Tyler's better than I thought defensively. I thought Kelvin would be better than Tyler defensively, I'm not sure of that. And our big guys can guard guards. So we can switch everything, we can scramble around, we can press. There's a lot of stuff we're gonna be able to do. Right now, I'm just trying to make them so you can guard your man, guard one other guy when you're guarding your man. Let's keep the ball out of the lane, let's contest shots, and when we close out, let's make sure we stay in front of tough twos. No layups, no lobs, tough twos. And that's where I'm trying to get mentality. And so we haven't moved to where we should be. But I wish we blocked more shots because the best teams that I've coached would block shots. That's what made us what we were. Maybe we will when we're not playing against each other.
So Jerry, then Tim, and Ken.
Now, John, a two-parter, again, I'll go back to Duke in the opening game. Is that a good thing in terms of getting the guys' attention? You're not easing into this thing right off the bat? And I'm wondering, come March, is an opening game, no matter what happens, how significant would it be by then?
I would say that game will be just another game for us at that point, unless we win. That is huge, huge game. But the reality of it is so early, it's a game where we'll learn about where we are at that point. And so will they. Where are they and where they need to go. But you'd have to ask the guys. I mean, I'm not sure, like, what would Reed think about playing Duke? What would these young kids think about playing Duke? There's not, you know, the rivalry is probably because we're two good programs, but I don't see, you know, I just hate, it didn't matter if it was Duke or whoever it was, playing them that early. What does it mean in March? I don't know, I bet you we'd be, both of us, because we're so young, we'd be totally different teams by the time we played in March. It was kind of like playing UCLA here, and by the time we played them in Memphis, we were a totally different team. And we could play different, we had figured ourselves out, we weren't, you know, a bunch of young kids then.
John, if a shoe company wants to pay a college player $100,000, is there a reason why that's morally wrong, or is it just that it's against NCAA rules?
If a shoe company wants to pay a player $100,000 while he is in school?
Yes.
Well, let me go farther, Tim. What about if they're in high school? What would you think of that?
I don't have a problem with it. American system, isn't it? Capitalism?
We're in China? No, we're in America, right. The problem with this is that I don't want this to lead to, I think every kid owns their name and likeness. I've said it for years. They own their name and likeness. That's the issue right now. The Olympic model would allow some of that. I think that, I think they've had kids in commercials, high school kids. I don't know if they got money. I don't know. But I think there's things that we should think about again and touch on, and how do we want to do this? What do we want this to look like? We have 350 programs that we're saying, okay, we're all the same, and no one should have an advantage. Well, we're at Kentucky. They have a media day. Don't think they have a room like this. we have an advantage, and there's never gonna be a level playing field. So forget about level playing field. What do we do for these kids, and how do we make it right for them and their families? I don't have the answer, your question, if I hadn't gotten in at 3:30, I'd probably be sharper right now to give you something better than I just did, but, you know, every decision, even the Rice Commission, what does this do to the kids? What's the unintended consequence to this, to the kids? This game, at this university, this athletic department, this basketball program, whatever decisions they come up with and to make this better, we'll be fine. Does, you know, I think it all comes back to that. Just how do we make this better? I'll say this. I think players should be able to go right to the NBA. But I have an issue. This has opened up a chance for them to say every kid should be in the G League. I get absolutely mad angry when someone said none of these kids belong on a college campus. I don't like the overtones of that, and I've had 5 straight A students come to this program, so it's not true. Well, these kids don't want to be in college. Can I whisper something to you? I didn't want to go to college. I was made to go to college by my parents, who said, you and your sisters will have a college education, because that's the only way to get a better life. You're going, so don't even start. And then the grades, listen, quit messing around. I'm no different than they were, but do we really want to have all these kids think that as 9th and 10th graders, how old are they then? 9th and 10th graders? 14? They're ready to make a decision whether they should be academically sound or I'm going directly to the NBA. What decision are they going to make? Well, their families, well, we'll stop now. What are we talking about? And who are we talking about? We just had the highest graduation rate of basketball players in the history of our sport. We had the highest graduation rate of African American players in the history of our sport. Just did it. So now we're going to say all those kids are going directly to the NBA, they're going to the G League, they're not going to be paid much, they're going to have 2 years to prove they should do it, and if not, they're roadkill. 92% will be roadkill. I may be wrong, it may be 93. Roadkill. What do we do with all those kids? Where are all those kids from? How are we, that's the unintended, what? The NBA really is worried about government help, and they're not. You didn't make it, that was your choice to do this, you're out. My thing is, every year there's probably 3 or 4 or 5 kids that could go directly to the NBA. Kobe, LeBron, Kevin Garnett. Tracy was close.